You're standing under the sky, and something impossible is happening. The moon is gone. In its place, a glowing ring slices across the heavens like a cosmic scar. It never sets. It never fades. And somehow it might be killing us. But here's the strange part. This isn't just fantasy. Earth may have looked exactly like this once. 4.5 billion years ago, a planet named Theia slammed into Earth. The impact was catastrophic. Oceans of molten rock, a sky on fire, and then a ring. A vast halo of debris orbiting our planet. Beautiful, violent, temporary. So what happened to it? That ring didn't stay a ring. It collapsed, clumped, reassembled, and became the one thing we take for granted every night, the moon. But that raises a question. What if it never formed? What if, somehow, Earth still had its rings today? At first, it sounds incredible. Imagine stepping outside and seeing a glowing arc stretching from horizon to horizon, brighter than any full moon. A permanent celestial masterpiece. But that's not even the craziest part. Because to bring those rings back, we wouldn't need another apocalyptic collision. We'd only need to move the moon slightly closer. And that's when things changed. There's a boundary in space called the Roche limit. Cross it, and gravity doesn't just pull. It tears. So what happens when the moon crosses that invisible line? Does it quietly break apart? Or does it trigger something far worse? And if it does, would Earth survive the transformation? The Roche limit sounds harmless. Just a distance. Just a number. But in reality, it's a death zone. Cross it, and objects don't collide. They unravel. Here's how it works. Gravity isn't equal everywhere. The side of the moon facing Earth feels a stronger pull than the far side. Stretch that difference far enough, and the moon literally gets pulled apart. Not smashed. Not exploded. Shredded. And this is where it gets weird. For Earth, that limit sits at around 9,500 kilometers. Bring the moon any closer than that, and it wouldn't stay a moon for long. It would become a ring. A massive, jagged belt of rock wrapping around Earth. Thousands of kilometers wide. Dense. Violent. Always moving. But here's the twist. Unlike Saturn's rings, ours wouldn't sparkle with ice. Earth is too close to the sun. The heat would strip everything down to raw stone. A grinding, shifting storm of debris. Now imagine looking up. The sky would never be empty again. A permanent arc, glowing in reflected sunlight. Day and night, it would hang there. Beautiful, but unnatural. But that's not even the problem. Because the moment those rings form, Earth doesn't just look different. It starts to change. Light bends. Shadows stretch. Whole regions fall into darkness. And suddenly, a new question appears. If the sky itself is blocking the sun, what happens to everything that depends on it? Sunlight isn't optional. It's everything. And the rings would steal it. Massive bands of shadow would sweep across the planet. Not clouds. Not storms. Permanent darkness in certain regions. Temperatures would drop fast. Entire ecosystems would freeze in place. But here's the strange part. While some areas freeze, others stay normal. The planet becomes uneven, unbalanced. A patchwork of survival and collapse. Plants struggle first. Less sunlight means less photosynthesis. Less oxygen. The air itself begins to change. And that's when things spiral. Animals that rely on the sun for navigation, birds, insects, even marine life, start getting lost. Migration patterns break. Food chains collapse. But that's not even the craziest part. Because the danger isn't just below. It's above us. Our satellites, everything from GPS to communication, are mostly placed around Earth's equator. Exactly where the rings would be. Now imagine millions of rocks, moving at insane speeds, slicing through orbit. Every satellite becomes a target. Destroyed. One by one. No GPS. No internet. No global communication. And this is where it gets worse. We can't just rebuild. Because sending new satellites up means launching them straight into a debris field. So the question becomes, if we lose the sky, do we lose our connection to each other too? At this point, it sounds like the end. But here's the twist. What if Earth had always been this way? What if humans evolved under a ringed sky? Suddenly, everything changes. We wouldn't miss satellites, because we'd never invent them the same way. Communication might evolve through ground-based systems. Fiber networks. Planet-wide towers. No need to risk the sky. But that's not even the craziest part. Space itself might remain out of reach. Those rings. They're not just beautiful. They're a barrier. a constantly moving wall of high-speed debris. Trying to launch through them would be like flying through a bullet storm. So maybe we never leave Earth. No moon missions, no Mars dreams, no deep space exploration. Humanity stays grounded. Forever. And this is where it gets unsettling. Because without the moon, tides change. Ocean rhythms shift. Climate behaves differently. Even Earth's axial stability, what keeps our seasons predictable, starts to wobble. The rings don't just replace the moon. They erase it. And that forces a new question. If the moon never existed, would life on Earth even evolve the same way? Or would we become something completely different, shaped by shadows instead of light? It doesn't last forever. That's the part no one expects. Rings aren't permanent. They decay. Slowly. Silently. Gravity pulls at them. Particles collide. Energy fades. And over time, they begin to fall. But here's the strange part. They don't disappear all at once. They rain down. Tiny fragments at first. Then larger pieces. Then something you can't ignore. A slow, unstoppable shower of rock from the sky. At first, it might look beautiful. Shooting streaks across the atmosphere. A constant meteor display. But that's not even the craziest part. Eventually, some of those rocks make it through. Impacts increase. Damage spreads. The sky becomes unpredictable. And this is where everything changes again. Because now, Earth isn't just adapting to the rings. It's surviving their collapse. Cities would need protection. People would live with the constant threat from above. The sky, once a source of wonder, becomes something else entirely. Something dangerous. And then, one day it ends. The rings are gone. The sky clears. And Earth returns to something familiar. But here's the final question. If somewhere in the universe, there's a version of Earth that still has its rings, are they looking up right now wondering what it feels like to finally see an empty sky?